Hello, welcome back. So in this particular video we are going to cover about two sample tests. So here we are going to look into two sample Z test, two sample T test with independent samples, and and paired T test. T test when we have samples that are paired. So consider, so for this we use Z test, pass in two samples and value equal to 0. Value is the difference between the two means. So here we have sample 1 and sample 2 and the difference between those means. So here we are going to consider the means of the two samples equal to 0. That means we want to check if the two distributions, if the two samples are similar to each other. We can use here a two-sided, or we can also use larger or smaller if you want to check if mean 1 is less than mean 2, or larger if mean 1 is more than mean 2. So let me print sample 1 and sample 2. So this is sample 1 and these are the values which are included in sample 2. In sample 2 also I can specify that I am looking for the same number of values, and I pass in the two samples, checking if the two means are same. But here it is rejected, null hypothesis gets rejected. Let me now try to include random.random, and I look for some 10 numbers. Here again in the same range I generate some random numbers, and here now for these random numbers it is seen that the mean of these two, let me also print the means, print sample 1 mean, comma, sample 1 dot mean of, similarly sample 2 . So here sample 1's mean is 135 and here it is 154. So it has rejected the null hypothesis that both are similar. So as you can see, there is nothing in 170s, 180s here, but here we have many number in 170s and 180s. Here the sample that we got here has similar mean, the random numbers, and so it shows failed to reject the null hypothesis. That is, the conclusion is these two. So these two are similar. Then there is two sample T test. So there is two sample T test, and these are the independent samples. So the two sample T test will compare the means of the two independent groups in order to determine whether there is statistical evidence that the two means are different or not. So the independent samples T test, it's a parametric test. Parametric test considers data to be in normal distribution. So it considers data to be normally distributed. They also consider in the tests that compare groups, as in like this, they also consider homogeneity of variance and So here let us consider that if we have some details about week 1 and week 2 and we want to check if these two samples are related. So here we consider if that function that we used here is t-test ind. So here I pass the data and I want to check if these two are related or not. So I will show the values that we have here. So here these are the values that we are getting. So 149 and 139 are the two sample means we have, and here we reject the null hypothesis that the two means are similar. So here I pass week 1 and week 2 and I am checking for the idea that if the two means, if the two distributions, if the associated population means if they are statistically different or not. So here, considering that they are same, that is in null hypothesis. So here these are not similar, so we reject the null hypothesis in this case. So let's say if I give 120 and 180 as what we have over here, we will get the same means, and then it will fail to reject the null hypothesis considering that the two distributions have similar mean. And so this is the independent two sample t-test for independent samples. If we have related samples, paired sample t-test. So here we have two related variables like blood pressure after, before or after some treatment, or tests between husband and wife. So all these are considered to be related details. So here we have, let's say if we have some before and after details, so we run the statistical test and we use here t-test rel. Here we use t-test independent function, and then we run the test, and then for these values we get that we can reject the null hypothesis, that, and the null hypothesis tells that the null hypothesis tells that there is no change, and here alternative hypothesis shows that there is change. And so so rejection of null hypothesis indicates that there is significant change between before and after results. So this is with the paired t-test. Further we will look into chi-square test and one-way ANOVA and the various other chi-square tests.